I have the god of death himself, Death Scythe, primed in metallic primer. However, do I paint him the stealthy, brooding Gundam that everyone loves, that everyone does online? Mm, maybe. That's the direction I was going. But then I got this Kaleido ColorWorks 24 Mecca color set. And even though all the colors are here on the box and show you what they look like, wouldn't it be fun to make the darkest, coolest Gundam around into a full color palette of this paint series? Starting out exciting, we're starting out with cool white. And where are we putting it on Death Scythe? On the mouthpiece. Yep, that's right. We're starting with the mouthpiece. This is probably the most standard color that a lot of people are used to. It's a high opacity, bluish white, and it goes on real nice. Now, this color is not thin, and I'm intentionally doing that so you can see how it paints onto the surface. That is our first color. Let's see if that can. Nice. High opacity, white with just a bluish tinge to it. Next color to work through, bright yellow, the V-fin. Looking smooth, these airbrush ready paints are not thinned and still looking great. With a white mouth and a yellow V-fin, I think we're going to do hero colors for the rest of the head. Seeming that's not really a Death Scythe thing to do. Next up, Forge Red. And it's already red, but this little chin here that goes and makes the face and eyes of Death Scythe. Here we go. Little piece, but looking really good. And for the helmet, let's do Azure Blue. Just a quick note on this one. This took a while to shake up. The pigments were quite heavy in this one. So we got the helmet, and let's make it blue. We got a blue helmet. Desert Rose. And this is where we probably deviate a little bit from the stealth like Gundam of Death Scythe because his main body is going basically pink. Let's see how this comes on. I'll finish up the rest of his body, but as we can see, it's actually a really nice pink. It's a dusty, almost real bright pink. I love it. It looks great. Next up, hibiscus purple. This is a beautiful color. I've already tested it on a little piece of cardboard that I test every spray before each section of color, and this is coming out beautiful. I can't wait to see it on the backpack. Here we go. Oh yeah, nice deep purple, beautiful color. Can't wait to see that on Death Scythe. Coming in this marathon, Freedom Blue. Freedom Blue is going to go on this backpack end piece, I believe. I'm guessing this is targeted for the Freedom Gundam. It's very bright and actually very close to that Azure Blue. I'm not really sure where the difference is, but maybe we'll see when we get it all put onto the gun. Sunset Orange. And what a good piece to do, but the little pieces that go inside the chest piece of Death Scythe. So let's spray them on. Well, that was quick. One thing I gotta say, I know I'm not thinning these paints, but the coverage and how even everything is coming on is just amazing. Look how quick that was. And for yellow or an orangey yellow, that's really nice. Our first gray tone. dark space blue. We'll put it on the end of this backpack piece here. I'm sure there's a name on all these pieces, but I'm just kind of describing them how they look. So we can see here, again, came on very nicely. It's more gray. It's called dark space blue, but it's really a blue gray. Very nice. Comes on beautifully flat. And now we're moving into the waist section with armor white. If you're going for your normal hero look. Next up, the side skirts on the waist will go chestnut red. And I have to say, the chestnut red, I've used it a couple of times already. It is a beautiful red. If you were to do the Justice Gundam or Epion, I think this would be my choice. And I probably wouldn't even mix the paint. Maybe do a black, primer with it. But absolutely beautiful color. One of my favorites in this kit. Coming up for the back plate on the skirt is artillery green. This paint here took forever to shake. And I'm wondering if it's because of the fact that I don't use this color a whole lot. Ideally, I would probably use this on a Leo, some sort of grunt, maybe Cassatria, but I think it might need a little bit of mixing just to make it just right for Cassatria. Either way, here we go. We have artillery green. For the waist section front armor piece, it is in two overlapping pieces. So I thought it'd be interesting to do deep olive green and olive green and just see how they look like contrasted against each other. This is the deep olive green going on. Going on at first, it looks very similar to the artillery green, maybe just a little bit more pastel-y look. But other than that, looking real good. Now for the olive green on the top armor. Oh, definitely much brighter. Much brighter than the artillery green and much brighter than the deep olive green. Those two greens were really close, but this really is a pastel green like look and looking great. Say, I don't usually use greens a whole lot. May become more into my mix going forward. Moving to the arm sections now, we have bright blue. One thing I've noticed is I've pre-mixed a lot of the paints and they settle out and have to be mixed a lot, which I guess if there's one downside, but what I'll do is I'll take how well these airbrush on any day. Remember, no thinners or anything, and we're getting these nice smooth finishes. Going underneath the shoulder armor accents is the dark coral. And there we go. Dark coral. Right, doing the little thrusters into shoulder pieces now, we have titanium slate. Looking very close to the metallic color that we have, which is not a bad thing because it is a thruster. There we go. Titanium slate. And for the lower armor pieces, we have rose taupe. And for this one, I don't really know what to expect. I haven't used it a whole lot. I always thought it would be good as a base for if you wanted to really brighten up on a red, but we'll see how it comes out now. Fresh on with the paint. Nice, nice color actually. I still think I would use it as a base color unless I have that real need to do a pink. And for the last piece of armor on the arms, we have armor carbon. And I think one of the most important things about this kit is there's no black per se. There's lots of whites, lots of grays, but there's no black. I would say this is the closest color you will get to black in this Mecca line. It's hard to tell in this light, but it's how it shows up is as a real dark gray, almost a little bit of a blue undertone and a dark gray. So now we're rounding out the last section, the legs on the Death Scythe. We're going to start it off on the calves with bright red. This one here, I've used this one. It's quite a nice color. Goes on very well, actually. You don't need to worry too much about the base primers. I would still put it over a pink to really make it pop. That's one pass. Looking pretty good. All right. Now that we got the calves done, let's do the the knee pads with space blue. This is a darker blue, and I hope it comes out looking great because I love a nice dark blue. Oh, yeah, that's nice. Hopefully it dries off well there now, but that is a good looking blue. We'll see how it looks when we put it on. For the upper leg armor, we're going to go Phantom Gray. I have used this as a base color gray before for inner armor, and it's real nice. It shows off all the lines really well for inner armor. Nice and dark without being too dark that you can still see the interior details of the inner frame. And there we go. On the ankle guards, we're going to go with this orange yellow. One thing I'm kind of interested in on orange yellow is it going to come out brown? Because that's sort of what I thought brown was orange yellow, but I could be wrong. More of a mustardy yellow color. Take a look. This one's not going on quite as thick as some of the other ones, but honestly, if I was doing a space yellow over metallic, that's quite nice. And up next, probably my traditional armor whitish gray color, armor gray. I tend to lean more towards armor gray than armor white, just because I think it looks more natural to what you would normally see painted if Gundams actually existed. Altogether, you really do notice it. All right, we're at the last paint of the series, and it's going to be Dark Azure. And where is it going? It's going on the bottom of the foot of DeathScythe. Think this will look pretty good? It's coming on real strong. Actually, I really like this color. Probably nicer than I expected. I didn't expect. Wow, good coverage on that. That was quick. And then, that's just a light touch on the airbrush. That's not overdoing it. Looking good. Who thought 24 colors from one kit on one high grade Gundam would look this good? I was kind of skeptical, but a little bit of planning, and I think we got a balance there that really works. As for a review on the Kaleido paints, I think they paint as advertised. They're very similar to a lacquer. They spray on very smooth, and I didn't even have to thin these paints, and they came on great. However, as for the color selection in the kit, I think there's some interesting colors that I wouldn't typically use, such as the purple and the coral and the rose. But then you get 5 different types of blue. And some of those blues, such as this light blue to this freedom blue to this dark azure blue, I think are really too close to get excited about. If I had one of either of those 3 colors, I'd love it. And Kaleido has a mixing tool online, I think it's called Kaleido Color Lab, that I think if you added cool white, or maybe even the armor carbon, you could get there. You could get very similar results. Although a couple of things, I think the different shades of green are really good. You can see them on the front skirt there, and the whites. So you have armor gray, you have armor white, and cool white, and they're all noticeably different. I've tried it on the Mecca lines, some other airbrush brands, and armor gray and armor white, very very close. You can see here in the center section here, this is armor white, this is armor gray, armor white, armor gray, and they're different. And I think I'm here for that because a lot of times these shades really hard to pick up in camera. So overall, it's a good kit. Too much blue. I wouldn't be excited to get any more blue from any other kit, but it's good.